Hi there, welcome to the archives. Bonjour tout le monde. So today I wanted to do Oshun. And we're gonna, Ari, can you get up for a sec? Up. Thank you so much. Thank you ever so much. Actually, you know what? Before I get to Oshun, I've been thinking a lot about emotions. Hi, welcome to, sorry, hold on. I'm all over the place. My channel is a social sciences and humanities channel, okay? I'm sorry. Let's just start there. So this is connected to the whole doctor. I'm trying not to get involved, especially not online. But here's what I will say. This is a social sciences and humanities channel. I mostly talk about stuff that I have my degrees in, okay? So yes, I actually have a PhD, like actually legit. I don't know where my degree is. Ottawa's is the smallest, dinkiest thing I've ever gotten. I was so offended when I saw the degree that I don't even know where my PhD degree is. I didn't go to my graduation. I was just saying earlier, one day I will talk about my Ottawa and my PhD experience. Trying to keep it cute. We're trying to heal. So my degrees are in sociology. First of all, I love the social sciences. I've always, since high school, maybe even earlier, I've always loved the social sciences. At my high school graduation, I got the Social Sciences and Humanities Award. Okay? So I'm not new to this. Sociology, I have a degree in. Global Studies, I have a degree in. Sociology and Equity Studies in Education. So Equity Studies and in education, right? So I'm really interested in education. I've always wanted to be a teacher, but the bureaucracy, teaching how it's done was never my cup of tea, just because there's so many red tapes, and I feel like that's a whole nother story. So professor, I could see myself being a professor, but even that, right now, I don't even apply for jobs because life. But I love the social sciences and humanities. So that's what we're going to talk about. That's what I usually talk about here, right? Even the series on Goddess, this is the social sciences and humanities. This is religion. This is world religion. This is cultural studies, anthropology a little bit, sociology even a little bit, right? We're learning about different cultures and who their origin stories were, what their origin stories were, who are their people. So, I have some expertise. I'm not licensed, I'm not registered, so that's not my expertise. What my expertise and what it is, I'm really interested and have always been interested. The whole reason I wanted to go do my PhD in the first place is when I used to run volunteer trips. So I've led a couple trips abroad, right? The first trip abroad I did, I actually just got an order. Anyways, I'm getting all over the place. I just remember I was saying that I ordered some salve. The salve came in. The person I ordered the salve from, they basically mentored me because they were my leader the first year I ever did a volunteer trip. But what I would notice from doing a lot of these trips, from doing a lot of workshops, leading these kind of spaces, is things would be going great. And then something would happen with somebody, an emotion would come into the room, and it would be like a bomb. Trauma, especially. Somebody's trauma would be triggered, and like the whole group dynamics would be thrown off, right? People's feelings would be hurt. We start getting bitchy, like it just was a hot mess. And I was really interested, like, we're doing great work, right? The trips we're doing really good work. The teamwork would be great. Like our team is solid. But yet these emotions keep getting in our way. Why are emotions getting in our way? So that was my curiosity. I was really curious about why and what sorts of emotions get in our way to kind of fragment us. Over and over, I would see the same thing, right? Even with friendships, conflict. We're doing great, something happens, and now you're blocked. Usually there was an emotion behind it, a lack of regulation behind it, right? Some sort of a childhood wound, some sort of a teen angst, something. So that was my driver to go do my PhD. but I've always been interested in that. My master's, again, I was doing HIV, sexual health education, and so I was really interested in art. I've always enjoyed art, right? I feel like art is a medium that's able to bring us together. So my master's looked at the role of arts-based interventions in HIV prevention education, right? Spirituality has always been a theme that's been very interesting to me, especially indigenous spiritualities, from here as well as the African. So I'm really lucky that I was able to take a couple of, I think I took one of Njoki Wan, Dr. Njoki Wan, Kenyan, Canadian professor out of the University of Toronto, right? So I've always been interested in indigenous healing modalities, equity studies, and emotions and how they affect us interpersonally. My PhD looked at how shame, fear, and trauma, I started with those three. What is trauma, first of all? I wanted to understand trauma, because I've had so much trauma. A lot of us have had so much trauma. What exactly is trauma? How has it shaped my life? Fear. I feel a lot of fear. I see a lot of fear. What is fear doing to us, right? Because I didn't really learn about emotions other than sad, angry, mad. Don't feel. You're not supposed to feel emotions. We didn't study what they were. So for me, the PhD was an opportunity to really, really study emotions. And I think that saved my life personally, right? It helped me regulate a whole more. I also intellectualized a whole bunch of emotions I probably should have been feeling. So now you saw, a lot of you have saw that process if you were there. Let me land. Right now, there's a whole lot of emotions going on. Rage, outrage, shame. There's a whole lot of shame going on, especially with this whole people getting exposed for lies. That brings up a lot of shame because shame is all about covering in the first place, right? If you had to cover and lie about something, that means you're probably ashamed of it. Insecurity is tied to shame. Shame is all about not being enough, right? Not thinking we're enough. I don't think I'm enough. I don't think people are going to think I'm enough. So I'm going to tell them I have a PhD. Now I belong. I'm going to wear this mask and pretend and perform doctor because now look at all of my millions of followers, right? That's part of how shame works. Even when it looks very secure, even when it looks very confident. I've also been thinking a lot about security, insecurity. I saw a clip. It was Cam Newton with somebody. Aquarius girl. Not Kenya. Marlo. I think it was Marlo Hampton. I think I saw a clip of Marlo Hampton from the Real Housewives of the Real Housewives of Atlanta. Marlo in conversation with Cam Newton. And she's very vulnerable, right? Typical Aquarius girl, I'm messy and I could be insecure, and if I date somebody, make sure you put the other women on the payroll. Very Aquarius, right? Non-conventional. People don't know what the heck Marlo's talking about, including Cam. And you see Cam get so insecure about her being so vulnerable about her insecurities that he then deflects and is like, would you say you're insecure? I love when men do things, or just people in general do stuff like that. When you make them so uncomfortable with your vulnerability, when you're able to say, I can be insecure, but then they have to it's a power thing, especially with men like Cam, they need to take that power, be a bad man, right? And Cam is like, would you say you're insecure? She's being vulnerable. Yes. And Marlo's like, yes, I could be insecure. You're talking about an Aquarius girl. Yes, I could be insecure. I don't mind telling you I'm insecure. I'm on a reality show. You see my insecurities. What am I supposed to lie about it? You lie about not being insecure, Cam. I'm very insecure. And I wish you would this is why men don't like me. Because if that was me, yes, I'm insecure. And I could also be very secure and very confident. But that's where you're stuck in the binary of secure and insecure. I could be both. I inhabit both, Cam. What about you? A lot of those types of people don't think they're insecure. When you call them insecure, they get very offended because it's all about performance, right? The masks. I want to belong. Look at all of my followers. They need to think I'm secure. It's okay to be insecure. You're very insecure. Cam Newton, to me, no offense, no shade, is very insecure. I'm very insecure. Marlo is a lot of us are very, very insecure. But I find people who can't admit to being insecure are some of the most insecure people. Because why can't you be vulnerable and admit that you can have insecurities sometimes? We don't know everything all the time, right? There's things that are going to make us feel insecure. There are people that are going to make us feel insecure. I was reading my journal from high school, deeply insecure. Beyonce, Destiny's Child, Eve, who else was at that concert? I read my journal from when I was 15 or 16. I went to a Beyonce concert. It was Destiny's Child. Don't be disrespectful. I didn't even remember it. And I think part of that is the shame and the insecurity, right? Because the concert was on a Monday. By that Friday, I had already called and booked a consultation with a weight loss company to go to Herbal Magic in Orangeville. Insecurity. Beyonce, Michelle, the girl, Kelly, I think I was like, instead of being inspired by them, who else was at that? Eve was at that concert. Nelly, 3LW, right? Instead of being inspired, which I'm sure I was, it brought up some insecurity. Damn, these girls look good. My belly, I'm 15 years old. I was 15 years old and 180 pounds. I'm 180 pounds now, but more than that, right? But at that age, I was very insecure about myself. And I think people would have thought then that I was still very secure, right? I played rugby. I could keep up with I was in the back row. You think I'm fat? Watch me run. I got legs. I've always been underestimated. Oh, this chunky girl is a prop. I went from prop to flank to 8, and they're like, no, she's really fast. The big girl's really fast. Put her on the wing. Put her on inside center, right? All to say is, I struggle with a lot of insecurity, and that has to do with a lot of shame. Shame of not being enough, being too much. And I want more people to be honest with themselves if they were. What would be the worst thing if you were insecure? Right? Because we can see it when men do it. When a lot of insecure men are very dangerous. But so are a lot of insecure women. A lot of insecure anybody can be dangerous. Right? Because now they're probably more likely to be prone to jealousy, envy, malice, right? All of the maladaptive, the really difficult, heavy emotions that keep us locked in fear. We're more likely to feel that when we're insecure. When you're more secure, you're more joyful, you're more neutral about stuff, right? So on and so forth. I've also been noticing in this whole conversation, the word confidence has been coming up a lot, right? I do a lot of pattern recognition. Have you noticed that confidence comes up? And when people talk about confidence, they make it sound like it's something. First of all, please stop making confidence seem like a bad thing, because people that do bad things tend to be more confident. That confident person is still deeply insecure, or can be, right? But I hear a lot of people talking about confidence as something outside of them. Oh, just because you're confident doesn't mean you have, just because she's confident, right? It's as if confidence is like the bad guy. And the reason why we look at confidence in that way is because people we think are confident, we can also clock an insecurity in them that makes it hyper superiority. That's shame. Again, we've talked about this. We see it with white supremacy. A lot of inferior white people who feel very small around black people will be you think they're super confident. Look at all the billionaires. You think they're confident? No shade, no disrespect. A lot of billionaires are very insecure. Care what people say. You're looking for external validation. Your money is tied to your external validation. How people see you is what makes you get paid. So when you're so like, oh my God, is this perfect? Oh no, I got a pimple. Oh my God, the people are going to see my pimple. Oh my God, I'm not going to get paid. I can't go on a tour, and the book sales, and right? So you might be confident because you have to be in order to like keep that hold of millions and millions of people. But behind the scenes, you're probably very insecure, is what I wanted to say. A lot of us are very deeply insecure. Everyday Joes as well, too. Women tend to be framed as insecure, which is why Cam thought he can ask Marlo if she's insecure. That's supposed to, like, shame her? Was that supposed to shame her? Good luck trying to shame a lot of Aquarius women. Yes, I'm insecure, Cam. And what? How about you? right? When you own your shame, when you own your shit, people cannot shame you as much. And part of that is also manipulation. Hopefully, if I make this girl feel so ashamed of being so insecure, maybe she'll move differently with men, right? Maybe she'll lower herself. Maybe she'll feel small, right? Men are also insecure. People in general are just secure, especially if we didn't grow up with secure attachment. If you're avoidant, if you're, what is the other one? What's the one that, avoidant and I can't remember. I can't think of it right now. Pay attention to emotions right now. Emotions are moving us heavy, 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 heavy. A lot of us, myself included, right? No matter how much it looks like I'm regulated, I'm always, I had a pelvic pain workshop today. And in that, we were talking, the facilitator was talking about how a lot of pelvic pain or just pain in general is tied to the nervous system. A lot of our nervous systems are shot, especially since the pandemic. I've been thinking a lot about the pandemic lately. Do you remember the pandemic, the first of 2020, when we were all in the house, people had more time? Do you see how rest, time, leisure, how disruptive it is? 6 years later, look, it's a shit show right now. A lot of that was because a lot of us had time to rest. Even during the pandemic, you could see who was a busybody and who couldn't stay in the house and who had to leave because they couldn't think with their thoughts and they couldn't think about you could, right? People who actually were resting and had time to think during the pandemic, what are you looking like now? People who were trying to bypass the pandemic and go straight back to work, what are you looking like now also? And I ask because rest is political, right? Trisha Hershey talks about this. A lot of folks, more and more folks are talking about this. An unregulated nervous system is likely to be very insecure, myself included. And it makes sense. You're always hypervigilant. You're always aware. Everything is a threat, right? Fear, emotion, it's overwhelming, especially if you don't know how to identify the emotions, especially if you don't know what the emotions are doing to you, especially if you don't know even how to recognize it in others, right? If you see emotions as something that's in you or of you, then you might feel shame to admit that you're angry. I'm not angry. I'm not an angry person. That's for those black people over there. I'm not an angry that's an angry black woman. I don't have anger. Well, anger is not something, Sarah Ahmed talked about how emotions are not ours. They're not something we house in our bodies and I am anger and fear. No. Sarah Ahmed talks about emotions as objects that just circulate, right? At any point in time, it can come into contact with you. What I love about Sarah Ahmed's work is she gets into the socio-cultural and the political about how some emotions slide over us and others, and it leaches onto other people, right? That's for another conversation. But please consider emotions as something that's not you and something that you might possibly have, especially the negative ones. What if you were an insecure person? What if you were an angry person? What if you were a rageful person, right? How does that then affect how you look? Now people don't see you as good. We just want to be seen as good people. Whether it's Christians that want to be seen as good, wholesome Christians, whether it's activists that want to be seen as a good activist. I do community well. I show up for my community. Look at this protest I went to. Look at this door knocking that I did. Don't you see how good I am, right? We all get into it for different reasons. But a lot of us want to be seen as good people. No one wants to really be seen as a bad person. And to be seen as a bad person, therefore, then brings shame. And then we got stuck in shame, and it's a whole bag of mix-up. Performance, hiding, masking. What if you were a hot mess? What if you're a hot mess? What if you're a hot mess? What if people see you as a hot mess? Right? What if you are a liar? Dr. Cheyenne is still not, it's just the denial. There's so much denial, delusion. Again, these are all words I hope you see have come up with me. And I think sometimes when I talk about this, people's like, oh, she's a hypocrite. Doesn't she remember she was in denial? Yes, I've been in denial. I'm still in denial. I will be in denial. You have a problem with denial. You are afraid of people seeing you as in denial, which is why you can't see that you're in denial. But when you're able to admit that something is happening, then you can actually change and address it. But if you can't see that the elephant is a room, how are you ever going to move the elephant out of the room? What elephant? There's no elephant in the room. There's a big ass elephant. There's two, maybe three, there's a dozen elephants in the room. Open your eyes. And this is where you can't open your eyes, because to open your eyes means you're too woke. See how they're manipulating you? You don't want to be too woke now. Open your eyes. Please shine your eyes. Shine your eyes. Madam. Massa. Shine your eyes. Be with me. Myself included, right? And I think sometimes the issue is hypocrisy. I did autoethnography. I was studying myself. I put myself on the under the microscope. Some of you saw me under the microscope. That's not an easy thing to do. That vulnerability is not an easy thing. You think it's easy? You think I enjoy people seeing me fail in public? I don't enjoy it. I just had to learn shame resilience, which is why I'm so glad I studied shame. Studying shame saved my life. Because even today I was doing my makeup and I was I love blush. It's not a story. I start sentences, don't end them and start new sentences. So work with me. That means I'm excited. My brain is all. So I might jump from place to place, okay? I'm sorry, I'm trying to work on it. I was doing my makeup today and I love blush. And I remember at a time today when I used to feel shame because I could feel people making fun of how much blush I put on my nose. Right? I would hear songs like, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. I don't know if people were making fun of me and saying that, but when in the ethers, when I sit down and meditate, and like, what are people saying about me out there? Oh, they're making fun of how much blush you have on your nose. I don't care now. Now I give me all of the blush. And it helps when you see other people not care either. The Forager, the black content creator that does foraging videos. I'll try to find it and post it. I always notice her beautiful, beautiful blush and the nose and the cheek. And I'm like, yeah, it is beautiful. You're right. I was not bad for thinking that I had too much blush. But when people shame you into thinking like, oh, now you look like Rudolph, it's immature. First of all, we're all so immature. Grow the F up. We're still stuck in high school, middle school. Most of us are still stuck in middle school. You look like Rudolph. Look at your nose. When you're able to work through that shame of like, man, I don't give a fuck what you think. Oh, I look like Rudolph. I saw that clip recently of was it New Orleans? Louisiana, that man in New Orleans. What did he say again? Burn. That's somebody who's really worked on their shame. You can't shame me. These politicians you're trying to gut voting rights? You think you can shame me? You are the most shameful one. I'm not ashamed. Burn. Oh, I hurt my feelings. I look like Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. But that's what they want. They want you to be ashamed. They want you to feel so small because that's how they can manipulate you. Now you're not wearing blush the same way. Now you're not doing what it is that you love. Now you're afraid to look different. Let it go. Let it go. So working on shame, having shame resilience really helps with building your security. It makes you way more secure. You don't need to make fun of somebody else because why? If you come for me, I'll come for you. But like a lot of insecure people will just come for you without you I'm over here minding my own business and you came for me. Wow. Are you okay? Are you okay? Do you need rehab? Are those drugs getting to your head? Because why would you just felt like to provoke me? Or because you feel so small about yourself. And provoking me made you feel like some sort of a bad man. A big woman. Stop it. Right? So, this video was not planned. We're supposed to talk about Oshun. But I think it's all tied. Right? Because Oshun is not arguing with you. Oshun's not arguing with you. You want to shame me? What you think? You think Oshun cares? I am the water. I own the rivers. All them forests. I was just reading. We're going to get into it. Amaterasu, I am the sun goddess. What can you say to me to make me feel small? You want to disrespect me. No problem. No problem. Okay. I don't care if you shame me. I'm gonna remove myself. Since I'm such a impediment on your life, go look that word up, because I know some of you don't read, you're at a grade 6 reading level. Since I'm such a stain and let me remove myself. No problem, right? So on that note, we're going to get into Oshun. Let all of us work on our confidence. Stop shaming people who are confident, because they're also very insecure. Please stop seeing the binary of confident and insecure. We can be confident and insecure. Let the binary go. Let it die. It's not helping, right? People can be secure and deeply insecure. And the more you recognize that you're deeply insecure, the more secure you become. Okay? Stop lying to yourself, myself included. Stop lying to other people. And what if you were a bad person? What if you were a terrible person? A lot of people can't face it. But then they're the most terrible ones, right? So, I'm going to get into Oshun now. Remove yourself, avoidance. It can also look like avoidance. I'm going to get into Oshun. Okay, until next time, I'm going to be right back. In solidarity, I guess. Okay, bye.